Thank you, Nisha, for that kind introduction. On behalf of the USIBC Global Board of Directors, it's a distinct honor and privilege to present the USIBC Global Leadership Award to Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google. Throughout Sundar's tenure as CEO of Google, he's demonstrated by his words, and more so by his deeds, some of the most important principles held dear by all of us as members of the US-India Business Council. First, that leading free market democracies, especially India and the United States, can work together to improve people's lives in both countries and around the world. Second, that the combination of the latest in information technology and mobile telecommunications can have an especially significant impact on those people. And third, these benefits can be even more pronounced for those in both countries that are less fortunate, including in areas such as healthcare, banking inclusion, and access to family and friends. Sundar's personal and professional history is especially poignant in light of today's USIBC Ideas Summit objective, and that's connecting American and Indian cities and states as a fundamental element of the overall relationship. Sundar grew up in Chennai, a southern Indian city of 4 million people where his mother was a stenographer and his father an electrical engineer. The family lived in a modest 2-room apartment, and it's my understanding that they got their first telephone when Sundar was 12 years old. In Chennai, his parents instilled an ethos of hard work, an appreciation for education, a strong recognition of the value of humility. This background explains his empathy for and vision of inclusive technology development, which we share. After getting an education in both India and the United States, and then a short stint in the consulting world, he joined Google in 2004. Of course, we all know about his tremendous impact there, where Sundar has led or been part of most of Google's iconic product developments, including Google Chrome and Chrome OS. The success of these products is a direct result of his leadership and vision for our common digital future. Today, under Sundar's stewardship, he not only runs one of the most impactful companies globally, but his efforts shape, inspire, and motivate billions of people around the world. As a result of his work from Chennai to California, I'm proud to present Sundar Pichai with the USIBC Global Leadership Award. He's a leader, a mentor, and an absolute inspiration for innovators and creative thinkers everywhere. And of course, to the incredible untapped potential of the US-India relationship. Sundar.
और बच्चों को होमवर्क नहीं करा सकते हैं, लेकिन चलो मेरे बच्चे होशियार हो गए। थोड़ा सा न पढ़ लिख जाते, कोई भी पढ़ा लिखा को काम भाव वो नहीं कर सकते हैं। बार बार कहने पड़ती है उन लोगों के कि मतलब थोड़ा सा बता दिए। मुझे पहली बार जैसे बच्चों को मतलब बार बार कविता नहीं आ रही थी, मतलब फोटो लाई।
1 कप सोयाबीन बहियों में 4 कप पानी डालकर उबालें।
तो इसने पढ़ के सुनाया है, और जैसे मतलब रिपोर्ट कार्ड आओ बच्चों को
अंग्रेजी, हिंदी, गणित, विज्ञान।
तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि मतलब वो चीज़ है, मतलब जा चीज़ है। अब तो मैं खुद के लिए बहुत कुछ काम कर लेंगे।
चालू खाता, बचत खाता।
अब जैसे रेलवे के टिकट कटाना है तो मैं कटा सकती हूँ, किसी के सहारा नहीं लेने पड़ता है। एक तो इसमें बहुत बेहतर है।
Well, Sundar, a very warm welcome to you. Welcome to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and to the U.S.-India Business Council. That was a really moving video. It really touches the heart. Can you tell us a little bit about the story of this video and the app that you've developed?
Great. First of all, thank you for having me here and the warm welcome. And it's an honor to accept the award. It's an honor to accept it with Adina as well. So I appreciate all the effort the USIBC does, and couldn't be more important at this time. The video, to your question, the video, our mission is to help people provide information and knowledge, and there is, I think it's a fundamental human need. People have a strong drive and instinct for it. You see it in places like India when people get access to technology for the first time, and we are working hard to help people gain more knowledge about the world around them, regardless of what your background is, when you've been able to learn to read and write, and make it a bit easier for them. So it's what we do every day.
It reminds me that sometimes we talk about technology in terms of the tools and the platforms, but it's really the tool that's applied to connect people, to improve the human condition, and that impact and that effect is what this video makes so powerfully alive, and one of the reasons why we're so pleased and proud to have you here as a Global Award recipient. Now, the theme of the conference this year is really about connecting the US-India corridor, connecting our cities and states. You, in many ways, embody the journey that we are spotlighting. Talk to us a little bit about your own journey that connects these two countries' cultures and industries.
As Jim was saying this, I grew up in Chennai in India, and grew up modestly, but I was privileged to have a culture of knowledge, and my parents did a lot to help me get that. I was passionate about technology growing up. Didn't have access to computing, but I could read anything I could on it. And when I came to the U.S., I came to Stanford in 1993. It was the first time I flew on a plane coming to the U.S. and landed in Pittsburgh, where my uncle and aunt live, and made my way to California. And just about the time the internet was taking off, and it was the first time I truly had access to computing, and I can see how it changed my life. I still carry that with me today, the power of technology to impact people positively, and I think you see the evidence of it both in US and increasingly in India as well. So.
Well, Google has obviously invested very deeply in India, and India represents an incredibly important market and community of users for Google. Talk to us a little bit about how you see Google and India, and what's the story, what's the narrative you see unfolding?
We've been in India now for a very, very long time, and we took a very long-term view of our investments there. And and to give you a sense of this, we are very excited to be part of India's growth story. I think the Indian government has done a great job of making technology one of the pillars by which they will improve governance and as well as the socioeconomic conditions there. And so we've been proud to be part of it. Just to give a sense of how we contribute to the Make in India program, Android literally powers all phones in India, and we deeply care about making phones cheaper every year so that more people can afford it and access it. But in 2004, there were maybe 2 local Indian manufacturers who would make devices made in India. Now that number is up to well over 200 or so. But our products have played a foundational role, but increasingly it's also happening in reverse. The scale of the Indian market allows us to now develop maybe products there and actually take it out globally as well. And so it's been an interesting trend for the last 3 to 4 years or so. Our payments product, India was moving towards digital payments, so we thought it was the best market to push the future of payments. We tried it there, and it's worked very well, and now that team is taking that payments product and bringing it out of India to the global market. So I think increasingly we see India not just as an opportunity, but building in India and serving the rest of the world as well. And so it's an exciting time.
That's great. You know, some of the products that you have developed for the Indian market, I mean, certainly the app that we just saw. Another one is the work that you're doing with Pratham, the Bolo app for literacy for children. Are these also innovations that you think have applications in other parts of the world and here in the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in the video you saw, being able to point to your phone and it'll read out loud. If you can't understand it, it'll help translate it if it's in a different language. It's equally applicable in the US, maybe from Spanish to English or vice versa. And so these use cases are fundamentally human, and so they work globally as well. And that's the beauty of technology and digital trade. Everything you learn and you work, everything tends to apply globally.
That's fantastic. Like, one of the very important, serious issues that we're grappling with deep geopolitical resonance is what's going on right now in the UK with the World Cup cricket. I understand you might have some views on that.
I'm a passionate cricket fan. When I first came here, I tried to kind of adapt to baseball. I have to say it was a bit challenging. In my first game, I was proud because I hit the ball in the back, and it's a really good shot in cricket. And I was like, well, look at what I did, and people didn't appreciate it. In cricket, when you run, you always take your bat with you. So I also ran between bases with my bat as well. So eventually I realized baseball is a bit difficult. I can adjust on many things, but I'm going to stick to cricket. There's a World Cup cricket going on, and it's a wonderful tournament. Rooting for India to do well, but there's a lot at stake, you're right.
There is indeed. Who do you think is going to be the final match?
It should be England and India, but Australia and New Zealand, these are all very, very good teams. So.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be paying close attention. I'll tell you, in my house, it's World Cup women's soccer that is dominating.
Which is.
But we're also paying attention to the cricket debate. But on a more serious note, we've been talking a bit throughout the conference about one of the issues that is really, I think, a defining issue of our time. And for a company like Google, I am sure this is topmost in your mind. I know that you have written on this and spoken on this quite a bit. And that is the global privacy debate that we are all engaging in. Last month, you wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times in which you stated that privacy should not be a luxury good. Now, as you know, in India and in the United States, there are efforts at trying to draft new privacy legislation. Share some of your thoughts with us on how the US, India, and other global systems can try to create an appropriate balance, and are there ways that we can have a consensus and a convergent way of approaching this?
I think so. I mean, the free flow of information, is essential to digital trade, and we all can see the benefits of it. But to ensure that we can actually do it, I think we need better safeguards around privacy, user privacy. I think rightfully so, users are increasingly concerned about it. And I think it's an important moment to create standardized frameworks, both for users to have choice, control, and transparency, and for companies to be accountable as well, with a clear set of rules. And I think it's an area where both in US and India, I think we have reasonably aligned notions around a free and open internet. Both countries have safeguarded principles of free expression, and so there's enough shared values here. I think we can lead in privacy frameworks, and to the extent you can standardize this globally, I think will be a huge factor which drives digital trade, and so hence it's very, very critical to it.
Well, it is something that I think a lot of us in the room are grappling with, and in our conversations with not only the Indian government, but also as we're having these conversations here at home and around the world, we continue to look for that balance where industry can come to the table with government and say, how do we solve for the future so that we can continue to unleash the powerful benefits of technology, of data, and also take the appropriate measures to secure our citizens. You're here today because you're getting a Global Leadership Award. Talk to me a little bit about how you think of leadership and what are your views and values as a leader of a global company like Google?
You know, there's definitely no single model of leadership. I wish someone had told that to me earlier. It would have saved me a lot of time growing up. But you know, for me, I do think there are common attributes you see across all models of leadership. You know, it's inherently valuing people, driving a collaborative environment with people, and empowering them. For me, a lot of leadership is about you know, cheering when people around you do well, getting out of the way when you can. You know, your job is to stay out of the way, but help them when they need to, remove obstacles, which is standing in the way of them doing well and succeeding. And so leadership more often than not is about taking a back seat. Even if you're in a meeting, the higher up you are, you know, it's tough actually to understand what's going on, so speaking as less as possible, listening more to what is around you. Being tough is important, but equally important is being compassionate and empathetic. And so, you know, these are some of the elements I think about leadership all the time.
Well, absolutely. I have to tell you, you know, I've met a lot of leaders from around the world. I've had a opportunity, I've been fortunate to be able to meet with presidents and prime ministers. I have to tell you, meeting with you and seeing the impact you have with your peers, really a rock star moment for us here at USIBC, and deeply appreciate the time you spent with us. We look forward to really working closely with you in the months and years ahead, and wish you the best of luck in all that you're trying to do to change the world through Google. Thank you so much for joining us, Sundar. It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you.